Hello and welcome to stream number 64 in this series where I am programming an NES game live on stream on Twitch. Let's just do a quick recap of where we are. So last week on Thursday I had Kevin from Kahan Games on the stream with me here, and we had a good talk about NES Homebrew. If you haven't seen that, you should definitely check it out. It's posted on YouTube. And there is a link to an alternate version of that discussion. I had noticed that the audio was too varied, where I was too soft and he was much louder. And last week I had reprocessed the audio and adjusted it so our levels were more balanced. But the problem was that YouTube does not allow you to replace the audio, so I didn't want to replace the links because it had been posted in a couple of different places and people were watching it, but in the end it seemed like it was bad enough that I posted a link. So if you go to the video on YouTube, you'll see a card on the top right that brings you to the new version of the video, or there is also a link in a pinned comment on the video, so that we can so that you can hear us better. But it was a good conversation. Hope to have more people come on and talk about Homebrew with me, just like Kevin did. As Kevin mentioned on Twitter, I think it was, Bo from Soul Goose Productions will be on the stream on Thursday, November 1st, and we'll have a similar chat about Homebrew and programming and his experience in NES Homebrew over the years, and should be a good talk. I'm looking forward to it. It seemed like a lot of people enjoyed it. So, where we were last time is we had gotten the enemies spawning based on their placement in the map in tiled, but what we discovered was that placing enemies seems to have triggered some sort of weird corruption. Now, I was thinking about it, and I'm wondering if the call to actually add the object is what's causing the problem. So a couple of things I want to do. I want to test to see, first of all, if just commenting that out causes that to start working properly. No, it's still interesting. So it's still having a problem even though the enemies are not being spawned. So obviously something else got broken. What else would it be, though? Because what's strange about that is it's actually spawning sprites with additional elements there. So something else is obviously getting messed up. So let's take a look at what I wanted to look at last week, but we kind of ran out of time, was the Mess and Lua documentation. And the reason I wanted to look at that was because I wanted to look at what we can do to try and look at what the entities are in memory, similar to something we had done with FCEUX, but I wanted to do that here so that we can give ourselves a list of the entities that are currently in memory, so we can see if the problem is the entity list or if it's some other thing where there's a bug in the code that's causing some sort of corruption. So let's go back to let's go back to Messin, and let's see if we can there's a log window. Where is script window? Yeah. So what does this do? This is an example script to give you a general idea how to build scripts. Okay, so what does this do? Oh, okay. Oh, fancy. All right, so cool. So what I want to do is I want to look at where, first of all, the entities are in memory. All right, so they are at, starting at 97. So let me take a look at this for a second here. What is this doing? This is doing a call to print info, and that's at the end of the frame. So all right. End frame print info. We can use this kind of as our example. I'm trying to think of what's the best way to do this. I think what I want to do is I want to get the content of the entity list and then kind of print a letter for what's in the entity list to start off with. So let's do a few things here. I don't need that. So the address is at 97 hex. Oops. Actually, the question I guess I have is, let's see. Oh, that's cool. So, what is this drawing? The sprite boxes around the sprites. That's pretty cool. So that's showing the actual hardware sprite locations on screen, which is kind of what we knew. We knew there were going to be sprites located when those ships appeared and stuff. So cancel. Oh, I didn't want to do that. All right, let's go back to script window. All right. So what I wanted to see was, because I'm not super familiar with Lua, what's the notation? Is it just the $, or is it OX? It's OX, like C. Okay. So what we need to do is start with base address equals OX97. So that's our base address for the entities. Sorry, I want to make sure this is picking up okay. So that's the base address for the entities, and then each entity is how big? We've got 2 bytes and a word, so that's 4 bytes. 6 bytes, 8 bytes, 9 bytes. So entity size is 9. And then let's just start with making sure I'm doing this right. So if we mu read base address, what is type? Enum, the type of, so mem type. Mem type CPU. Oh, that's cool. So you can actually tell it to use any of those. That's pretty awesome. All right. And then 1. And that should be the X position. And then all I really want to do is I want to draw the X position on screen. Just to prove that we're actually looking at the right thing. And then we can get rid of that code. Debug entities .lua. Okay, so let's see what that does. Attempt to index a nil value mem type. Am I using that? Oh, mu mem type. Okay. Mu mem type CPU. Okay, and it's displaying it signed. But that's clearly working. All right. So, oh, I keep freaking doing that. Okay. Let's reopen that. All right, so what I really want is byte 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Byte 6. Let's see. So this should show the type is player. Okay, good. Nice. Okay, so that worked. So it actually showed that it went from player to explosion to nothing. All right, so now what I want to do is, so I keep closing that because I want to restart it, but that obviously doesn't work. So I want to do a loop where we print out the entire state. I think we probably just want to do a string and then we print the one string that has all the states, the types there. I don't really know Lua, as I've mentioned, so that's while. If then while repeat for I 10 1 minus 1, so that's 10. Okay, so let's do for I 0 and then how many entities do we allow? Max entities 12 hex. Do, and then we have to indent, and then there's an end that has to go here. Dear Lord, what am I doing here? is there, I think it's just going to be types dot dot type like that. We'll see. Unexpected year 0. 14. 4i, oh, equals. Okay, cool. So that's the list of all of our entities. I'm obviously doing, oh, well, base address plus entity size. Does this have, does Lua have a plus equals? No, looks like not. All right, so let's reload that. All right, so what I'm seeing, it looks like, is that despite the fact that we're seeing those sprites appear, oh, why is the script? Auto reload when file changes. Okay, so despite the fact that we're seeing those sprites get activated, we're not. They're not actually in the entity list. It's something else that's going on. So you can see that as I fire the bullets, as they exit the screen, the entity in the list over here goes down to 0. So this is this makes sense. This is what I thought it would be doing. So something else is going on. Why? It's so weird that it's not. Is there something that you have to do to tell it to reload the script every time? Let's see. Did I just miss it or something? Emulation, advanced. No, that doesn't look. That doesn't look right. Seems like it should just be in the preferences. Frame counter disable on screen. Start game. I guess not. That's weird. All right, so okay, and the script appears to be working right because it's doing what I thought it would do. So the question becomes, what is causing these additional sprites to be triggered now? Because I thought that it would be that if I commented out the add of the enemy, that the extra things wouldn't appear, but it seems like that has no effect. We're still getting those weird glitches. So it must be something to do with the actual object check here, and maybe something that we're doing, maybe, you know, maybe it's these parameters that we're using. I wonder if that's it. Maybe the NMI is using well, you know what we can do? We can add that to the script too. Let's see where let's see what those states look like. Or maybe we can do how would we check this? Just to confirm, just because I'm feeling paranoid here about this, but if we just do jump right here, jump done with objects, and we skip that code, no, okay, so that's still happening. What about here? I'm trying to narrow down where the actual cause of this is, because I know if I take the enemies out of the map, it's no longer a problem. Whoa! That was strange. Why did that do what it did? Done with objects. That is weird, because it started moving the ship before I even touched the control, the D-pad. What is going on? Load A0, store a meta tile flag. So let's see, what's the difference with there being enemies and not being enemies? The main thing is there's an offset for the number of enemies, and then I think let's see, level object count. So we load that here. That's odd. I don't remember why. Let's go back to the asset tool, because I don't remember it being in the beginning like that, but don't remember anymore. So yeah, so this is where is this writing this to? This is writing it to the map file. So the map file initially no, so this just has an obj, so the objects are stored in that bin file. Oh, right. Okay, yeah. So that's what that's loading. It's loading level 1 object, and then objects low, objects high to get the location so it can read the data. So if level object count is 0, let's just try this. Load A 0. Where's the jump? Done with objects. Let's get rid of that jump. So I hard-coded it to 0 objects. So it's literally the object file itself. Huh. Map, let's see, map 1 obj. Let's say that's 0. And then nothing in there. So it's just 1 byte. Rebuild that. Odd. Now if I re-export the map, let me do this. Map. What I thought I remembered from last time was that the process of re-exporting the map with no objects fixed the problem, but that then is not that is not consistent with what we're seeing here, at least in the sense that I thought it had something to do with the objects just being loaded, but is it something with the way the export is happening when there are objects? Is that it? So if I export that and then so the other thing is, let's take a look at yeah, so that's just got 0 in there. So that's what I expected it to have. If I rebuild that, yeah, I know there's no 1278. Make this do a jump and then reload this, and then does this work again, or was I just imagining? No, this is working now. So okay, so the process of adding those objects in, something about the data is different and breaking this. So all right, that's fine. Question now becomes, what about that is not okay? So what did we change? We changed how the objects are being exported, that it's the 4 bytes per object. But it doesn't even seem like that's the issue, because it seems like if we just the process of including these objects is creating this problem. Here's what we can maybe do. Call this export good, and then go back to tiled and re-add these, re-export this. And then let's export that. So that's the new map. And then let's look at this with kdiff and see if what it points out is different. So draw entities is different, which makes sense because we added. Well, is that all that's going to be what the problem is? Because we added these new types. Compare with flyby, branch if not equal to the next unnamed label. Which is here. Compare entity type flyby to, branch if not equal to here. Explode. Okay. Jump to check end sprite. Well, this looks okay. Well, you know what we can do? We can test that out. Let's replace this stuff here. Build it. Okay, so built. So let's break the code or turn off the code that draws the flyby here. Okay, so just comment that all out. Actually, you can just. All right, so now it's all the same except that it's not actually adding the flyby to the runtime entity list. So let's see if that made any difference. No. Okay. Could it be the comparison? Let's see. So we just commented that out. Okay, good. So it's not that, because now at this point it's basically the same as before. All right, so we have flyby, flyby to, explode, bullet, player. We have these. We have those extra palettes. I wonder if that's the problem. Where is the palette memory in relation to the sprite? Palettes. So the palettes start at 3F. Here's the whole memory map. So the palettes are at 3F. That's a mirror of 2000, which is the name table. Palette index, and that's a mirror of 3F00. where 2003 OAM adder, OAM data. All right, so that's not. Well, you know, let's give it a shot because I want to eliminate the obvious easy changes because, you know, like text files that we can just comment things out, and then we can try the harder stuff like looking at the binary file and finally the code. So if I comment out the palettes, I'm curious to know if this is what's causing it because of how many palettes there are. And that's causing some sort of weird issue. No, that's just messing up the palettes. Okay. Figured I'd give that a shot and see. I always try to go with the stuff that it's kind of easy. And I go, well, there's no way that it could ever be that because there are too many times where I have said that and it turned out that it was that. And that means that I wasted a lot of time looking for problems in the wrong place. So, the other thing that's interesting is like the color palette is wrong. Right? If we go back to this and we look at the player sprite, the little cockpit area is blue. The palette that's loaded, I think that's the color, right? That's gray. What value is that? That's color 0. So something, if I change that, yeah. So that's is something messing with, let's do this. The other thing I thought it might be is these parameters, param1 and param2. Let's, just in case something is using them, let's create new variables. Call it T1 and T2. Curious to see if that changes anything. Because I suppose it's possible that that's being used somewhere else and that's creating that weird behavior because we were manipulating it. Although then I would have thought that by circumventing this whole check it would not be a problem, but we'll see. So this is now T2 and this is T1. Again, trying to go through and eliminate the simple things before going through all of the more complex ones. Wow, okay. What's interesting is that it seems to be consistent. Let's also take a look at where is our sprite mem. that we're using. That's at 200, I think. Yeah, so that's at 200. Are we overflowing something into 200 that's causing this problem? Let's go to the memory, and let's go to 200. So each sprite is 4 bytes. So that's the ship. And then these should all be essentially the same, but it doesn't look like they are. Why is that? Why? So let's go back to the wiki and look at what the bytes are. I forget. So the y coordinate, the sprite tile, the sprite attribute, and the x coordinate. So the y, the tile, the attribute, the x, y tiles. Yeah, so these, why are these tiles, why do these tiles, or why do these sprite values in memory have something in here? Let's reset here for a second and slow down the emulation. Yeah, see, so something is updating that memory, which is causing sprites to get updated in the PPU. So let's do this. Let's add a breakpoint. So that we can break on whatever code is doing the update. Breakpoint. Add CPU memory. What location is that? That is at 210. 210. And I want it to be on write. But actually, maybe not on write, because I think I want it to be on write of a value that's not 0. We'll see here. So far, I mean, so far that's right, because we just have the player, and then these are essentially 0, tile 0, right? So that's all fine. Okay, so let's do this, because that's too non-specific. So 2, 10, 11, right? 2, 11. Want a value that isn't 0 for the breakpoint. So let's update this. 2, 11, condition. Reads the value at address 15, 2, 11, doesn't equal 0. Hopefully I did that right. Oh, wait a minute. You know what? No, maybe I did. Do I need to put it in... Oh, I need to put it in brackets, I think. All right. All right, so let's see if that triggers it less frequently here. Because we know it's going to get updated to something, to a value of 0, while there are no sprites using that location. But at some point, okay, so what is this? Finalize attribute, no more tiles, next meta row. Had we just come back from the NMI and Eor FF, Y is 11, A is 0, what happened here? Sprite mem. I mean, this has already been updated. It's too late at this point. So let's try resetting this. Okay, so we're just waiting for it to break. Sprite DMA. So it got changed. It got changed. Process gameplay state. Okay. So that, I mean, store a sprite DMA. So that we're telling it to do the update to the sprite memory in the PPU. Wait for draw to complete. How did that happen? DMA copy the sprites at 200. That shouldn't have gotten updated to anything. What I don't understand is why... I guess we're going to have to do it the hard way and step through every time it gets updated in order to catch it when it occurs. Alright, so let's move this over. So it's going to store 0 into it. That's fine there. What's really strange is that we're zeroing out the sprite memory every time in order to ensure that this doesn't happen. And yet it still seems to be happening. feel like I need more screen space here. All right. Okay. The animation. Sprite mem. Why? Why? Whoa. Why is it doing that? Why is it going into drawing the exploding sprite when nothing has exploded? 23, 24, 25, 26. I don't know. Somebody was saying that Messin records what's going on by default. It was Nathan. History viewer. Can I go back? Oh, so you can actually... Interesting. Alright, so... What am I actually doing here? Wait for v blank. I don't know. I don't know what that was. Oh, maybe that's just like paging through. This is strange. Why is it processing the animation? Or was it? Yeah, well, yeah, there it was at the bottom. So there, that's the problem here. We see that 8D, right? That shouldn't be there. 8D. What is 8D? 141. 141. Is that a position like in the X of one of the objects on the map? $139. What is actually in this file? Okay, I thought maybe we were overwriting the X there. So this is so strange. So it's storing this into sprite mem. Load A, 9A. What is 9A? Draw entities. Oh, okay. I still don't understand how it's even getting there, though. That's the part that's bizarre. Is there a bug here? Load A, entities type X. Draw entities. Load X0, load Y0, load A0. Store A and sprite mem. Load A2. So it's doing the initialization. I guess. Let's see. So is v blank clobbering. Transfer X to A, transfer push A. So it's pushing A, X, and Y. Push A, load A2. Transfer X to A. Oh, I don't even know why I'm doing that. Transfer X to A, push A, transfer Y to A, push A. So then at the end, pull A, transfer A to Y. Pull A, transfer A to X, pull A, and then increment draw complete. So it pushes A, X, Y, and then Y, X, A. Y is 11 hex. Why is it updating this? What is the deal? Compare the type. Load a type. I suppose it's possible that while we're doing the comparisons, the type is getting changed by something. I mean, it shouldn't, because the value of A should be restored. Oh, wait. Are we doing anything with it here? We are modifying X here. And we are not preserving it. So push A, transfer X to A, push A, pull A, transfer A to X, pull A. Wonder if that was what was causing it. That would potentially make sense. Let's disable this and see. Nope, still seems to have the problem. Let me just make sure that we got the right code here. Push A, transfer X to A, push A. Store A, that. Load X this, decrement, branch not equal. Load A, blah, 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 blah. Pull A, transfer A to X, pull A. There's nothing on the stack. All right. So it wasn't that. I thought maybe that was what was causing the problem. It could have been causing a problem here and there, potentially, but obviously not the one we're trying to debug right now. So let's see if we can catch it again here. we can actually, it looks like it's consistently that problem. So what we can do is on right of 2010, and the condition is not 2010, just 210 is equal to 8D. Or is it just 8D? What is the notation here? 8D. All right, so looking back at this, y is still 11, x is 90. So x is used, let's take a look at that for a second. X is used to iterate through the entities. And then we add the size of entity to it, and then we compare. So I believe the size was 9, so that would be sprite 10. Wait, oh wait, it's 90 hex. Seems a little high, doesn't it? It's 144. But y is only 11. Does that make sense? Should that be possible? Because, let's see, if x is at 144, you divide that by 9, that's 16. Is that larger than the max number of entities? I think that's larger than... No, so it's almost at the end of the list, but then the y value is barely even close to the end, because the y value is where we are in memory range 200. So yeah, something is messing up the x value. Interesting. So something's messing up the x value when we come into draw entities, and it has to. What would be causing that? And why would having the enemies in the map trigger that? This is the gameplay state. I mean, the thing is that even if the v-blank interrupted it, or the NMI, we would have, so we do have something on the stack. Are we leaking things onto the stack here as this happens? Huh. This is strange. There's the memory. It's already been all updated. Seems like it's happening. The check is happening after the fact. But alright. What is... Why? Why? How is that even possible? And then this should be clearing that out. So it is. But then we come back to it and it's all messed up again. I wish I understood why we're not seeing that trigger until after all that memory is updated. I wonder if it only happens at the end of the cycle, and that's why. So that's definitely the culprit, and it's got to be something about this X being wrong, because that doesn't make sense. We haven't made it all the way through. We've only made it through these first 4 sprites, and X is already towards the end of the list, but meanwhile we're nowhere near the end of the list, which is why it's getting this corrupted data. But the X value being modified like that is odd, because it would involve either the interrupt or the V blank occurring. Sorry, the interrupt or the NMI. Push, 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 and then we should have corresponding pull, pull, pull. This is doing push, push. And this is doing pull and pull. This can just be... I don't know. Finish bullet. So is it the bullet? Well, I think the bullet collision only gets called... Check bullet collision. I think that only gets called... Yeah, that only gets called if you have a bullet. This is still commented out, which doesn't need to be. Although, it's probably not good either. really wish... Let's take a look at the documentation, because Nathan today was talking about that Messen has some sort of document, is it some sort of recording that it does while you are, while it's emulating. And I wonder if it's possible to rewind in the debugger. Movies or files, playback with them. They are essentially recording the events that occurred during recording. To record an actual video, see video recorder, start recording. So you actually have to start it and then, oh wait, history viewer. The history viewer is a replay in a video player, any gameplay since the last time you power cycled or loaded the game. You can start playback at any point in time and instantly seek to that time to resume gameplay from the history viewer's current position. So let's see. Where is that? I know we just saw that a moment ago. History viewer. It doesn't really seem to have the granularity I was looking for here. I don't know if that's because of an option. Let's see. Has the rewind memory, hold button backspace. Can I do that? I can. Does not seem to. I really don't want to step through every loop of that. It'd be nice if they're low level. What? I think this got confused from me trying to rewind. Let me try again. Would that make sense for... Is there something where it's returning but not popping or pulling the thing off? Possibly. I wonder if that's what's happening. there's that return from interrupt. There's that return from interrupt. Let's see here. Push A, transfer X to A, push A. Pull A, transfer A to X, pull A, RTS. Push, transfer, push. Push, transfer, push. Sorry, pull, transfer, pull. Okay, so that looks okay. Push A, Y to A, push A, X to A, push A, and then where is the reverse? Pull A, transfer A to X, pull A, transfer A to Y, pull A, return, load level. We're not doing anything there, but we're not really calling it more than just in the beginning. Wait for vblank. Reset. And I don't know. Yeah, we're only using it in a couple of places, so that's not the issue. What else could it be? Where else are we? Finish bullet collision. Let's see what's going on here. So push A. Transfer X to A, push A, and then push P. And then we're pulling P, pulling A, putting it back into X, and pulling A and returning. Transfer X to A and push A. Well, actually, we do kind of need to store the value of A there. Pull A. Yeah, and then pull A because we're clobbering it. Okay. I doubt that's the problem. But let's just see. Yeah, okay. I didn't think that would be it, but I just wanted to make sure it was still consistently broken. So that's that. Are there any other RTS calls? Where or how is X getting messed up? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What the hell is this? Compare X to branch on E. Okay, that's the problem. That is the problem. That is doing a return without fixing up the stack. So jump to done with objects. Done with objects, I guess, or done with object add. How about that? Done with object add. Or actually, let's call it something a little more descriptive. Object add failed. Or No, I guess that's okay because it's not always a failed condition. That's just, in this particular case, failed to add the object because we are out of entity room. That is probably the issue. That is probably it. Because it's returning from the subroutine without cleaning things up. No. Let's just make sure that I actually reloaded and built the thing properly. No, it's still... What is the deal? Push A, transfer X to A, push A. We're using Y anywhere in here? No. Load X, compare X, branch if not equal to the next thing. Load X, okay, no entity, then that, transfer X to A. Clear carry, add carry to, okay. So that goes back to the top of the loop. If we're done with the loop, we go to here, we do a pull of A, and we transfer that to X, and then we pull A, and then we return. But that, okay, so that doesn't fully explain it though, because it was happening even without that call. That definitely wasn't helping though. All right, let's go back. I would like to know why the palette for that is wrong. It's obviously got something else to do with what's happening here, or the value is being overwritten or something. Let's try something here. Oh, okay, wait a minute. That would make sense. It's possible that the reason the palette is wrong is because there are too many objects and we didn't accommodate for more than 4 palettes. That's possible. I don't know what effect would that have. If we go back to this, if we wrote past the palette, it would just re-update. So it would just, it just messes up the palette. So that's not, okay. That's not the end of the world. I'm curious to know though where the OAM data actually lives. I mean, technically we shouldn't be able to modify that. Let's see. It doesn't say, does it? It doesn't. Okay. Okay. I doubt that has anything to... I mean, it obviously isn't helping things, but I think it's because of the fact that the sprites are... There are too many sprites for the palettes we have, and so the flyby... You have the flyby, the second flyby... what are the other entities that are getting loaded here? Oh, the explosion... the bullet, and then the next one would be the ship, but or the player, but we're not getting that one in time. So or it's not getting loaded because we've run out of space for it essentially. Go back to the debugger. Go back to Messen. Back to this. We can speed up emulation a little bit more. Okay, so it's still exhibiting the same behavior. And this 8 is still on the stack. I am Are we at a position? Let's look at it this way. Are we at a position that the map object should be added? If we look at, I'm wondering if that is the trigger for all of this. I mean, obviously it's related, right? But what I'm saying is I want to know if it's specifically when we hit the point that we should be adding the object, the enemy, that we're seeing this problem. So the camera is here. So what's that? That's address 68. So the camera's value is B78. And B78 in hex is 1. Wait, is that right? B7. Oh, I didn't do the B part. I thought that looked too small. B78 is 2936. And if we go to the map, no, we're not. We're not really at that, so it's not as if... You know what we can do? We can set a breakpoint to see if we call it when this occurs. I don't think we will, because I don't think that we've gotten to that point, but let's double check. So hit start and just step through this again until we see this break on a different spot. Okay, so it's not that we've gotten to the point where we're adding another. Okay, so we know we're definitely not getting to a point where we have or where we're supposed to be adding the enemy. So the question is, what is happening at this point that's triggering this behavior? Is it that we loaded another row? Looks like we're probably on the cusp of loading another row. So if I step through, will we see that row pop in? We do. do this at 190 or 180. That's interesting, and the scrolling seems to be sort of flip-flopping too. Let's so that's all the way there. What line? I forget what line we're at when we do this status bar. Let's say we want to break at 150. We want to update that at 150. So that's already over there. Oh no, that's over here. Okay, yeah. So very odd. Why? I don't even know that that has anything to do with it. It's just bizarre. Let me do another thing here. We were talking about palettes here, and Param 1, palette to load the palette in PPU into which parameters palette is loaded. If bit 7 is 1, then use the sprite palette. Alright, so that's all well and good for load sprite palette, but what it should be also doing So what I should be doing here is checking compare it to 4, and then I always forget these stupid comparisons. The value in the accumulator is greater or greater than, is equal to or greater than the compared value, the carry will be set. So if A is bigger than 4 or equal to 4, then the carry will be set. So branch carry set to skip palette load. I want to put a NOP here, a no-op. Because I want to put a breakpoint there. So let's go back to the debugger. Okay, so let's see if we actually even hit that. I feel like we did, because we're trying to load another palette that we don't have. Same thing here. We do it a couple of times. Interesting. more than a couple of times. Wonder if that has any impact on the bug we're seeing. Close that. I don't think that has any relevance. Let's go back to the what is this? Oh. Let's go back to the memory viewer also, so we can watch that. Okay, so it's still exhibiting the same behavior. So what are our clues here? It's loading. The value of x is 90. What is that being used anywhere that we would be able to find a reference to? Let's see. So 90 in hex is 144 in decimal. We also have a value left over on the stack, which is the value 8, which I'd be willing to bet. Let's see. No, I don't think. Maybe I was going to say I was willing to bet that that was the value, the actual value of x, but that doesn't actually sound correct. So where? How do I find what caused x to be changed? Because it doesn't seem likely to me that x came in that way. So let's this is going to make it a little bit more tedious, but we're going to keep hitting draw entities until we see a point where it modifies that location. Just trying to think if there's a better way to ensure that we don't miss this instead of having to step through every single one, but I can't think of it right now. Well, we know x will be 90, right? The question is, looping through this, does it ever get to be 90 under... It does. It does get to be 90 under some normal condition, or under various conditions, but wait a minute. Does that mean that the ND's memory is getting corrupted and causing this? Is it possible that that's the problem? So ND's is Is that 9F? Is that right? What did we put in that script thing? That would be weird though, because the script code seems to imply it's 9.7. Seems to imply that it's fine. Right, the entities are all oh, wait a minute. That's why is and did that get shifted? Base address 97. Process entities. Oh, it got moved. Okay. That's fine. I just wanted to, okay. So that's reflecting now the entities that are loaded. Okay. So what's going on? That's a little strange because that would mean that the memory here, I guess it does look like it got up. No. This is really bizarre. So if we go to 99, that's the player. That's nothing. That's nothing. So where is it getting the 8D from? Because if it's entities Y position with a position of X, so if X is 90, we're saying it's 99 plus 90 gives us 129. There's nothing in there, right? So, but A has the value of 8D in it. 99 plus the Y position. What is going on? 99 plus 90 gives you 129 in hex. Yeah, see, even that doesn't make any sense. Let's do this. In the disassembly... No, where is the assembler? Alright, so load A 99 plus I don't know, what is Y position? Y position is byte, 1 byte over. So it's just 99, it's 9A Y, right? contents currently mapped to CPU memory addresses. 0 will be overwritten. That's fine. Did that not do anything? Or do I have to... Oh. Load A, 99, Y. Execute. The CPU will resume its normal execution until a write to 3000 is performed. This will assemble and execute the code in the 3003 FFF range, starting at 3000. Okay. I guess. That didn't do what I wanted. That's not helpful. I don't know why that doesn't do what I want. I maybe just don't understand how it's supposed to work. But what I wanted to prove was that loading that memory at that point would produce a different result than what's actually in A at that point in time. Because that is what I'm seeing, that it is totally bananas here. Can I do entities? Entities plus 1. That's just the address. The value. It's 68, but that's not. And then by entities plus 1. Can I just do plus y? No. Plus. Oh, well, I don't want y anyway. I want x. Fine. No. Not helping. Did that actually... Okay. So that's that. So entities, so it's right, 99 plus 90 gives you BD. So BD has the value 24. Well, we actually don't want BD. We want I don't know why escape is doing that, but okay. It's BE. That's what I thought. Okay. That's still giving us 24. Why is that giving us 24? Okay, I guess that is 24. So what is going on? This is bizarre. That's entities, right? Which is at 99. Where did that value of 24 come from? Over here. Where is that coming from? Because there shouldn't be anything. right, the entities output here, unless I mess something up in the way that this is reading, that all seems right. Unless, well, let's take a look here. So, let's do this. Load a dot size of entity. Okay. So we will load a with that value just to make sure that I did not screw up counting it. So that's 9, okay. So we have the base address of 99, and then the base address of 99 plus load a entity plus entity type. I think that'll entities. All right, so now that should have the address of the first entity. Should it not? Entities type. Oh, it says 6. Okay. So, yeah, so I've got that right. Base address plus 6. That gets to the type. We put together a string. Yeah, so that is functionally correct. Why? This is okay. So I assume that what must be happening is that I am not clearing out all the memory for the entities for some reason. So that's what some of this additional stuff is. It's strange though, because when we initialize the game, all that memory is set to 0. Well, actually it's not. Why is that memory being updated for the entities? Clear entities. So let's see. So we are storing what should be consistent values into the entity memory. Starting at 99. But it does not appear to be doing that. The load A, store that into X and Y. Oh, you know what? Because we added that, and we also added data. What else did we add? So that initialization is missing some things because we added some new items: X velocity, Y velocity, and timer. I just want these to be sort of consistent so that we see the right behavior. All right, so go back to the debugger, reset. Okay. What on earth is that all about? They should all be the same. How are they not the same? Load A with FF and then store FF into all of them except for the type. Load X0. Load A0 stored in type, load AFF, transfer X to A. No, I'm just dumb. Alright, so load transfer X to A, clear carry, add carry, compare X, and then load A there. So that's just me being unnecessarily trying to be unnecessarily clever here by doing that at the end to avoid I don't know why I was doing that. I don't know what I was trying to avoid here, so screwed that up. Let's see. Okay, that's at least consistent now. We've got all of our entities initialized with values that make sense. Go back to this. Hit start. And we have our sprite memory. And the player is the only entity that should be initialized right now. Okay. So that's 99. Everything else looks good here. So this, again, this location and value and everything doesn't make sense. So the value of 8D here must be some other leftover value. We have something on the stack still. Is there any way that in the NMI we are somehow exiting too soon and causing stuff to be left on the stack? Or I'm not sure where or how that would happen. That's the only thing that seems to be unless it's the interrupt handler occurring during the NMI or something like that. Let's do this. Let's just let's comment this out and just make this do an RTI for now. Here's our memory here. We don't have to worry about the stuff that's messed up on the bottom. That's because of the fact that we turned off the status bar so you can see some of it not being right. So don't worry about that. I'm not. No, it's doing it again, even without that. Why? What on earth is... How do I even detect that? That has 3 pushes and 3 pulls. What is this? Push, transfer Y to A, push A, load Y, blah, 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 all this stuff. Store Y, pull A, transfer A to Y. What is this in? Is this in the game loop? This is in the game loop. Alright, so I don't care about that. Or it doesn't seem to be the potential issue here. This is check bullet collision, push A, transfer X to A, push A. We technically don't need to do this push P, I don't think. Wait a minute. What is this? Push A, store A. There is this pull. But is it possible that that's getting missed? Let's do this. I don't think this is even being called. Let's just make sure it's not being called. What is it called? Check bullet collision. Check bullet collision. It shouldn't be calling that for any reason, but let's just make sure. There are no bullets that need to be checked. There are no flybys at that point. That would be... Yeah, okay. So it's not this being called unexpectedly. Add map object. I believe we said that that was not even getting called yet. Oh, it's in the wrong, I'm in the wrong file. Put a breakpoint here just in case. Wait a minute, what was that in the beginning? I feel like I missed something. Start. Initialize. Okay, that's just initializing the sprites. All right. Okay. So this is seeming pretty consistent. Let's do this. We can probably count how many times I hit F5 and then do it again one last time and just step through it to see what happens so that I'm not just mindlessly stepping through it. So after hitting start, it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 39. So when we hit 38, I want to step through this. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 Okay, so now we're going to step through and see what's going on here. We can jump to that. So we check the controller. We check all the buttons. Then we process the entities. So that's the player. And we just keep doing that. Oops, sorry, I bumped the microphone. And we just keep doing that until we have processed all the entities. There are to process that are live, which in this case there is just the player. No, where we're at here. What is this value? A2. We have a while here before we get there. Wait a minute. What is this? I thought we processed the player already. Why process explode? 3, 5, flyby. where... Crap, what happened? I mean, it's processing the player, but it's kind of weird that it's doing it now because the player is the first entity. And it's adding an explosion. Wait a minute. So it's adding the explosion to the entities list. Or it's changing it to an explosion because it thinks it's a player that collided with the background, which, I mean, it happens over here, which, yeah, that would... Whoa, that is weird. Okay. I wasn't expecting that. So, why did it think it was a player? Let's reset that and do the count again. So, okay, let's go. It's going to go through and it's going to process the controllers, and then it's going to process the entities. So X is 0, and it's going to check against a player, and it's going to process the player, which... what just happened there? Where there's like this whole thing that it skipped. Player collision. Process player. Load A, entity data X, compare alive, branch of equal. What, it doesn't think it's alive? What is the value for that? 0. Yeah. So, data. So it's 99 plus 7 hex. Oh, did I may have advanced the so A0. So A0. Why? Initialize player. Okay, so that's an oversight. It's not initializing the player state to alive. Player entity state alive, store A, entities, any data. Okay, so it doesn't think the player is alive, which is why it was skipping the check there. But that is strange because then it's checking somewhere else. All right. Why does it keep breaking here? Store A, draw complete. It must be a bad address in the breakpoint list. Where is the clear? We were just stepping through every loop of the way. We can actually do it at the process entities. Probably better to do it there. All right, so hit that, and 1, 2, 3. Oh, because it's... Okay, it's hitting the breakpoint. I forgot. Getting tired here and making some mistakes. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I should probably add some sort of just timer into that so I don't have to keep counting it. But let's see here. So we check the type, and it's a player. And it's alive, so we're going to process its location. Let me go back up to the loop here just in case. So we do this whole thing where we process the collision like we talked about many streams ago, and there should be no collision. Okay, so now we're at the end of that. We've checked the player, and now we should just be getting that the type is 0 for all of them at this point. So what we can do is put a breakpoint here and just look to see if this ever becomes anything that's not 0, and then put a breakpoint at the end of the check for the entities. Where is that? Done processing entities, pop. Okay, so we just keep doing that. What is the... What's the value we're checking against? A2. So we have a little bit of ways to go here. Okay, so why is there a value of 55? Okay, there's a value of 55. Probably because X is 6C. Right, because 99 plus 6C gives you 105. And 105, no, that's 0. So, again, it's... This is the problem, is that something is changing the values as we are examining them. There's that value 55 again. 55. That would be one of the attribute values. We're doing processing of the attributes in the NMI. Are we hitting... Is this causing the problem? Is this... I remember I was surprised that this was working. I wonder if it's not. I wonder if now that we're hitting more areas of code and memory, we see that that's just not... Let's see if that makes that either a different value or it goes away. Because 55 is a value we're using in the attribute table. I'm wondering if the load A for the attribute table is what's causing this, potentially. Even though it should have reloaded it with the previous value of A, but that doesn't seem to be happening. Let's just see. And I know the colors are wrong in the background, but obviously that's because of this issue that I turned off the attribute updates. No, same problem. Yeah, same problem. Man, I am stumped here because this should be safe. We should not be seeing any issue where exiting out of this, it has not cleaned up the value of the registers. This also should not be having any issue with the registers. But clearly something is affecting those values. Can I add? trying to think what's going to be the best way to know what happened. Let me add a counter here. This is just going to overflow once it happens enough times, but that's okay. I just want this so I don't have to keep counting. Okay, so that increments the debug counter, and let's add that here. Doesn't know what that is yet. Why is the value of that 99? It's odd. Okay, so load new game, load a 0, store a debug counter. Great. Okay, so reset that. Oh, what happened? Why? CPU. Oh, that's this. That's the address. I don't want the address. I want the value. And 38 in hex is what? 26. Whoa. Whoa. What just happened? Hold on. That was even stranger. Debug counter res1 game loop playing gameplay state increment debug counter. Okay. Why did that break things? Or did it have nothing to do with that? It had to do with the fact that I fixed the bug with the player being alive? No. Okay. Yeah. What is going on? How did that make that worse? That made it worse. Okay. Let's just make sure that no, that's consistently screwed up. So why? I'm not sure what would have caused that. Like previously I just had added this. I mean, and that obviously doesn't work because it creates other issues with then the player isn't controllable because it thinks the player is dead. So that fixes that, but now what the hell is going on? And all of this seems to go away if I go back to the assets folder and copy this one. Let's see. Let's see if that's still true. So I just updated just the assets. I didn't change the actual core code. No, see now that's... Oh, it didn't actually rebuild it. Sorry. Forgot it doesn't know what these things are anymore. Compare branch not equal. Just jump to that. Okay. So is this going to work now? Yeah, the palettes wrong, but the palettes are wrong in general. So alright, so after all of those little changes here to the code, all I can say is that it definitely seems like something in the export is breaking the engine. The question is, what is it? There are so few things that are different. You have the calls here for the drawing of the entities. You have the entities themselves. You have the map object binary file, which it's 1 byte versus 9. Which makes sense because if there are no map objects, then is that the bug? Is that the bug that it's checking against map objects that don't exist and so it's creating a weird problem? That could be. I don't know. Let's do this. Compare X. Load X enemy index. Enemy index. Load X enemy index. Load A. Enemy index. Shift A. Transfer it to Y. So that would be 0. Compare X to level object count, which should be 0. It was equal branch to done with objects. So Well, yeah, so that would make sense that it's just skipping. So that would mean that it's all in here. But I thought I tried that. This is maddening. Okay, so let's bring back these comparisons, and then JSR add map object. So I'm just going to get rid of this whole thing here, because in theory if we look at the good export versus the bad export, the map itself is the same, but the object binary is not. Let's also double check that level object count and enemy index are set to the right values here coming into the game. Open the debugger, please. Enemy index 0. What is it called? Level object count. Level obj count. Level obj count 0. They're both 0. Which should not be the case when the level gets actually loaded, right? Or no? Wait a minute. Now I'm just really confusing myself. This is the good one. This is saying enemy index is 0, level object count is 0, right? And this is not going to have. This one has problems though. It's not actually calling the data, calling the routines to check the data or anything. I mean, that doesn't make any sense because that gets called regardless. Right? Those calls get called no matter what. So where would the bug exist? Where is it? Am I using X or Y down here and it's getting clobbered by that call? Load. Load Y0. Where is X getting initialized? That transfers A to X. So that would be safe. I don't understand. What I also don't understand is, wait a minute. If this is having the problem, why was level object count 0 unless it just didn't get updated? Let's see. level object count is 0. Let me just make sure I'm not losing my mind here. And then I think I'm going to wrap up. So this is the good export. Copy this in. Rebuild. Maybe it's not that. Maybe it's these references to the flyby stuff that I think has nothing to do with it, and it does. But that doesn't. The only way that would make sense is that somehow this process taking longer to do the comparison is what's triggering the problem. And even that seems dubious at best. And then this doesn't even get called. I mean, I suppose it's possible that, but it doesn't explain the behavior that we're seeing, that just adding the few additional comparisons is allowing it to get so corrupted on the next loop around. Yeah, so level objects is 0. I mean, that's behaving exactly the way that I expect it to. No weirdness there. But let's do this. Let's add these back, but instead of calling it flyby and flyby2, we'll say compare with 10 and compare with 11. And then compare with 11. Let's see if just changing that back to be included causes the strange behavior again. No. Okay, so that's okay. What if I just copy back just let's see, what can we just copy back? Just the draw code from the bad one. Let's see if the draw itself having those two things is a problem. So we'll just say compare this against 10, compare this against 11, and then bring that back in. Oh, that's weird. Que paso? Did I change the wrong thing? Compare flyby. $50. 51. It's weird. Oh, I know why. Because the player sprite is now. No, that should be fine. It should be shouldn't have changed anything because that's the only thing that's really bizarre. So maybe that is the problem. Load a and type X, compare 50 branch not equal to that, compare 51 branch not equal to that, compare to explode. That was the only thing I changed. Right? And if I change that back, it works. Why would that be? Oh, you know what? Okay, I know what the problem is. It's not... That's not... I can't just do that. The problem is that it... Without the flybys built out, exported out in the char ROM, it's missing some of the... It's missing some of the graphical data, which is why it's not working the way that I expected. So that's another interesting point, which is that it looks like let's restart this for a second here. It still looks like there might be some strange graphical things going on with... Where is that thing that draws the... There was a script that drew the sprites. Let's see if that... What is that at the top? Is it the number of sprites? Displays a box around each sprite as well as a sprite counter. Oh, okay. So 4 sprites. Run that. Oh, damn it. Run that. Not that. That. Thank you. Alright, so we should only see... Whoa, okay. So it's still having some weird anomalies, but it's not quite as bad. Am I just running out of time? Is that what's going on? I have a feeling that's what it is. That it's adding just enough cycles to slow it down enough that it is causing weird behavior in the draw entities code. Let's see. Which makes me sad, because that means that we are hitting... It's odd that that is the case, though. Because, like, that's not causing any problem. Why? There's got to be a way to make this reload the script every time. And then video size, video filter, preferences, emulation. Where is the overscan? Video tools. So has no negative impact on it whatsoever. Son of a nutcracker. Why won't it stay? There's got to be a way to keep it from... to not have to do this every time. This doesn't seem to have any impact on anything. But the moment I switch over to this one, to the one that was generated when the objects were added, it added a bunch of weird sprites. Yeah, see, they're right there. What is that about? Why is the type... Why is that happening? If I just take out those comparisons, does it make that problem go away? Is it... Like, that's so bizarre. Yeah, it makes it go away. So the problem is loading, is the extra comparisons here? Like, that is so... Or is it I was hitting a value that was actually being randomly loaded into memory and adding? But even that still is really strange. No, that's... How did that work? Sprite boxes, please. So that's the problem. It's getting values, and then getting those values in there are creating a problem because the sprites themselves are invalid. Okay, it's late enough at this point, and we sort of know, it seems like, what the issue is. It's something to do with the entity drawing, although it's not exactly clear why the entity drawing with these additional types is now causing a problem. It seems to be that something is either corrupting or causing some sort of inconsistency in the way the entity information is being stored, and as a result causing these extra sprites to show up on screen incorrectly. So next time, that's where we're going to pick up, trying to isolate where in this code things have gone wrong with the entities, and if it's some sort of corruption or some other problem. And what I'll probably do to check that is I will probably introduce, and I think I've talked about that a little bit when I was talking about how Visual Studio initializes memory to a specific value when it's freed. Part of the reason you do that is you can check to see if something is incorrectly overwriting memory that it shouldn't. So my plan is to add a byte before and after the structure for the entities that we will set to a specific value and see if that's ever getting corrupted. And if it does, then we know that there is some sort of problem. We'll probably pad this out also to be exactly 16 bytes. Not that we need that much space, but because it'll make it easier to view that in the memory viewer, in the debugger. So they'll all, if we go to the memory viewer here, you can set it to 16. So I want to see each one be one row. And then from there, we can hopefully determine if that's being corrupted by anything. And then once we determine if it's even being corrupted, we can then even set specific breakpoints to see what's causing that corruption in the memory. So that's the plan for Thursday. As always, thank you for watching. And if you have any questions, you can reach me on Twitter at Claravis. Folks have been DMing me with questions, and you can also post questions on the recording on YouTube, and I'm on the Discord for Nintendo Age if you want to check that out as well. Lots of very knowledgeable people who write code for the NES as well. So yeah, have a great night. Thanks for watching. See you Thursday. Take care.